Okay, in front of my first still picture, there's one other thing I should have said when I was showing the engine compartment. I did two upgrades when I ordered the dual catch can. I upgraded to the larger 5/8 inside diameter braided hose kit, and I also upgraded the two check valves, which are also higher flow rated. So from there, so it's a stock kit plus those two upgrades. So this is the diagram that you'll see on RXP's website. And this is that, it says the crankcase sensor tube. My crankcase tube on the driver's side that went down to the turbo input did not have a sensor. I believe my sensor is internal to the engine valve because there's no sensors whatsoever. Therefore, instead of putting that adapter in there that you see, coming from the top of the small can, I just went from the top of the small can directly to the top of the valve cover. Okay. Now, and then on the small can, on the input, on the side input, that comes from that T. So let's just start from the T. So the large can, left and right, blue there, are identical. You can do either one. They're both identical. So you come out into the check valve, into a T, and then into the turbo input on the driver's side. Then on the other small valve, into a check valve, into the intake on the passenger side. And then from the PVC valve on the passenger side, it goes to the top of the large can. So from there, I'll talk about the updates I did. So I wanted to add a dipstick. And the reason for that is I didn't want to go in and just drain every time and there's not much in there, or is it filling up too full? You know, how do you really know how full that can is? Now this is the top of the large can. It's upside down. It's in the vise. So you're looking at the bottom of the screw-in top of the large can. There's 3 slot openings there you can see. And I just took, I think it was a 5/16 drill bit and drilled through the center, the top closure, and then it's going to go down and hit the top of the can, and I'm going to drill a hole through that. That gives me a nice line through there for the dipstick. This picture shows now I have it on its side, and you can see the drill going through that slot on the bottom on the right, through the hole I just drilled through that top seal, and then I went ahead and drilled the hole into the top of the lid, with the screw part of the lid. Here, I ended up using a 5/16 bolt, hex head bolt, for my dipstick cap, if you will. And so once you figure out what size bolts you're going to use, you pick the appropriate tap, and your tap will tell you what size hole you need to drill. So I drilled the appropriate hole, and then I went ahead and tapped it with the 5/16 tap. I cleaned the top because I drilled through from the bottom, and then plus the tap raises that area a little bit. I went ahead and cleaned it with a countersink, so it was nice and flush. This picture shows the hex head bolt, followed by a stainless steel washer, a brass washer, and a rubber washer. And I don't have it screwed in all the way. That center red line, you can see the gap there, but when you screw that all the way down, it's then sealed. This picture shows that same bolt where I drilled a hole. I think it was the number 29 bit for me, and then the tap right there is an 832. And I took an 832 screw, cut the head off of it to make an 832 stud. Now I have, and now the brass for the dipstick is literally a brass gun barrel cleaning rod. It was already tapped with the 832, so that's why I did the 832 into the bottom of the bolt. And so I now have that little stud that I made, and you'll see a picture of it here in a minute. But I put the whole rod down through there, and then you'll see the black mark I made here, And the black mark I made there, which is almost 6 inches down from the bottom lip of the lid. You know, go to another picture here. The bottom of the lid, the can is 6 inches deep. So from the bottom of the lid to that brass, I measured down 5 7/8 inches. And so I got my stud connecting the two together, and I put some, I don't know, 471, the red maximum strength Loctite in there. Then on my rod, where it comes out of the lid, and you'll see another picture of it, that's the top. So once my oil starts approaching those 2 bars, I know it's time to drain that catch can from the bottom. So it's hard to see, but there's the 2 lines. This is the 5 7/8 mark, and I just took my pipe cutter there and cut it off. So there, now it's down snug through the can. If you look closely, you'll see the 2 bars at the bottom. And then, another thing you notice, it's not critical, but I went in and put a little taper on it, so as I'm fishing that back down in, it just guides itself in a little bit better than having a blunt surface. There's a close-up of the 2 rings. So as I approach that, I'm getting to the bottom of the workable, usable part of the catch can. And there it is, you know, side by side, and you can see it kind of goes to the bottom of the can when I screw that in. Okay, the other thing I did is I think there's 3/8 fittings in the bottom of those valves. I got some 1/4 inch barbed, 2 barbed fittings, so I put in the bottom of each can. And I had a Y, I got a Y, it's just a piece of plastic, barbed plastic. And they come out of the large catch can into the top, and then the split there goes into the small can. And then the long hose literally goes down through the wheel well to the ground, and that's where, when I'm changing my oil or whatever, I can catch anything that I drain. Here is the bracketry. You saw this in the video, but this bolt right here already there's metal under there, and it already had a plastic push pin clamp in there. And I pulled that out. I had to enlarge it to the 5/16 and just put a 5/16 nut and bolt up through there. I had to do a little spacer. This lip right here is, I basically put a washer, a nut, and a washer, and that gave me enough space so I could tighten that down nice and tight. That long bracket came with the kit, but I thought it was a little it was pretty firm. But I braced it with this 90-degree here, right here. So those are just self-tapping screws into that plastic, and self-tapping drill and self-tapping into the brace. Now it's really firm, it doesn't move at all. This is the one that goes to the one-way valve, and I think you'll see another picture here. Yes. So this comes out into a one-way valve. You can glare on there, you can hardly see the arrow, but it's one way towards the turbo input. Then just below the picture is a T, and then out of that T, it goes into the small can on the side input. Okay, again, that's the one-way valve. This is the T, and then this goes on down to the input of the turbo input. Now this picture is actually pretty good. You can still see the T, and my line kind of goes, you can see the hose right there, around the air box, and right up into the side. Now this is a small can, we'll continue with that. Now the small can goes, oh, by the way, you can see how easy it is for me to get to my dipstick. It's on it's facing the driver's side fender. You can see the relative position to the brake fluid cap there. So in this picture, This hose goes to the input, I should say the output of the valve cover on the driver's side. Driver's side valve cover output to the top of the small can. Now as we back up, remember this one goes to the turbo in, and this goes to the intake in, and that's why there's a check valve there. And the center one goes to the PVC valve on the passenger side valve cover. There's the top-down view. You can see the small one going into the intake on the driver's side. And this is the hose coming from the that left lower port that has the one-way valve going to the, there's a little nipple right there under my finger under that big hose that goes to the intake. And then that top hose goes to the output, which is the PVC valve on the passenger side valve cover. All right, that's all my pictures. If you have any comments or further questions, I'll check the YouTube video. I'm not sure if you comment, I'll see it, but I'll check for comments. If you have any questions at all, let me know. And again, you can see these pictures show the trim kit, the braided hose, and the enlarged check valves. The regular check valves are 1/2 inch, and the regular hose is a 1/2 inch. These are all 5/8. Again, I hope you enjoy the video. And again, it was for 2025 3.5 liter Powerboost King Ranch. Thank you.